It's that time again, everyone. Pokemon Press Conference 2019. And it was all about how China will be taking over the Pokemon franchise in a big way. 2018's conference featured information about Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, a nod to Pokemon Sword and Shield being in development, and the mic drop announcement of Pokemon Quest being available to download now on the Nintendo Switch. While 2019 still had a ton of new information for Poke fans to eat up while we wait for next week's Pokemon Direct, the focus was primarily on mobile apps and how China fits into the whole Pokemon company's future. Tsunekazu Ishihara, president and CEO of the Pokemon Company, took the stage as the conference's main host, issuing a statement that China would be a key player in the future of the Pokemon franchise. Probably because they stand to make a shitload of money by finally introducing the worldwide phenomenon to a previously, mostly untapped market. This was further backed up by Ethan Wang, VP and head of publishing at NetEase. NetEase, by the way, is the second largest video game publisher and developer in the world, with over 550 million active users globally. They've made over 200 games since 2001, and their games span multiple genres. They also own 4 of the 10 most popular games in China, which is pretty darn significant. Wang went on to announce that Pokemon Quest, the aforementioned mic drop available now game from the 2018 conference, would finally be released in China with some added social systems and PvP. NetEase already has 1.7 million users pre-registered for the app, and plans for more games to make their way to China are already underway. So this may not seem like a big deal for those of you screaming, "Tell me what Scorbunny evolves into!" But this does mean that by partnering with one of the world's largest developers and publishers, we will be getting more Pokemon games across multiple platforms more frequently. Which is good news for those of us who love Pokemon so much that we still carry around our Pikachu plushies from grade school. Hiro Matsuoka, president and director of Toho, the folks who make Godzilla, took the stage and announced that he will be officially joining the Pokemon Company's board of directors after the success of Detective Pikachu worldwide. So expect more Hollywood Pokemon movies, and expect them fast. He also mentioned the new Godzilla movie, so that either means Godzilla is now a Pokemon, or Pokemon are now kaiju, whatever. While we're talking about Detective Pikachu, it seems the Pokemon Company was already expecting the movie to be a huge success, as Creatures, the developers of the original game, have begun working on a sequel. Ishihara noted that this follow-up will be coming to the Nintendo Switch, and will conclude the story. He also pulled a George R.R. Martin and said the game's ending will be different than how the movie ends. That means we now know of 2 Pokemon games coming to the Switch, Sword and Shield and this Detective Pikachu sequel, which leans into Nintendo's effort to sunset the 3DS and market the Switch as its successor. So if you haven't ditched your 3DS for a Switch yet and you love Pokemon, you're going to need to upgrade sooner rather than later, as moving a flagship series like Pokemon fully to Switch and mobile apps means the 3DS is dead. The last half of the conference was actually dedicated to those aforementioned mobile apps, and a not-so-subtle reminder that June 5th will have more information on Pokemon Sword and Shield. Game Freak Board of Directors member Junichi Masuda, who also holds the title of developer, composer, designer, producer, and programmer for most of the Pokemon games, jumped in front of the mic for a few major announcements. Masuda mostly focused on the new players that Pokemon Go and Pokemon Let's Go had brought in, citing that the audience is broader than ever before, and that Pokemon has grown beyond a series that exists only on one device. In comes Pokemon Home, a place where all Pokemon can gather. Pokemon Home will be a cloud service that connects Pokemon Go and potentially other mobile games to the Nintendo Switch line of games. It also allows for those using the 3DS Pokemon Bank app to transfer their Pokemon to the newest games coming this fall. That means if you've been painstakingly trading your original Gen 1 starter you got back in 1998 to the most current generations, you'll be able to easily bring it with you to Sword and Shield. You'll also be able to trade anytime, anyplace, with anyone using Pokemon Home, but you'll have to wait until 2020 to do so. In the most wild of announcements, while Pokemon Go encouraged people to walk around, the Pokemon Company is now tackling its next great foe: sleeping. Yes, the thing that keeps us from our precious video games will no longer be a barrier. You can now sleep and play video games. Simply titled Pokemon Sleep, gameplay will be affected by the amount of time spent sleeping. How exactly? They didn't say, but it will utilize a new device called the Pokemon Go Plus to do so. Pokemon Sleep is being developed by Select Button, who handled the mobile game Magikarp Jump in 2017 with the goal of having players look forward to waking up every day. Because, according to the Pokemon Company, life is meaningless unless Pokemon invades every aspect of your being. Pokemon Sleep will be releasing in 2020, with Nintendo and Niantic working to find new ways to implement sleep into gameplay. Fingers crossed for Animal Crossing Take a Nap and Mario Snooze. Back to the active device that will allow the app to work, the Pokeball Plus. Worst name ever. Kazuhiro Maruyama, head of hardware development at Nintendo, showed off the device, which is essentially an even more powerful version of the Pokemon Go Plus device used to track steps and help catch Pokemon in Pokemon Go. The Go Plus saw a new iteration last year alongside the release of Pokemon Let's Go called the Pokeball Plus. And because Nintendo just can't stop pushing hardware, we now have the Pokeball Plus Plus, which is a flat ball thing that will let you do the same things as the Pokeball Plus, but it also tracks simple information about how long you sleep with the embedded accelerometer. The goal is to help regulate your active and inactive life by tracking the time walking around and your time sleeping. A bit creepy, but if it helps me catch legendary Pokemon in Pokemon Go, who can argue? John Hanke, CEO of Niantic, jumped in to mention that Snorlax is spawning everywhere in Pokemon Go due to the announcement. Yay! Ishihara finished up the event with the announcement of a new Pokemon project from Dina, developers of other Nintendo mobile games like Super Mario Run, Fire Emblem Heroes, and Animal Crossing Pocket Camp. It's called Pokemon Masters. Pokemon Masters has no solid release date other than sometime in 2019, but Ishihara urged that development is already underway and is progressing well. The concept revolves around featuring every gym leader, master, and even player trainers from previous generations of Pokemon in one game. We got to see a bit of the game in action, and it seems Blue is taking the place of the usual Pokemon professor to introduce everyone to this new world. Models seem to be similar to what we'll be getting in Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is great, as we'll finally have a unified style for what Pokemon games will look like graphically across multiple platforms. Characters featured in the trailer include Blue, Cynthia, Misty, Rosa, Brock, and variants on the Ace trainers, but we are likely to see a lot more in the full game. Pokemon Masters also includes Z-moves in its gameplay, which means we'll probably see the continued introduction of them throughout the Pokemon franchise, including Sword and Shield. The gameplay appears to be a 3-on-3 battle with your trainer teaming up with 2 famous trainers to knock out the other team. How will you get new trainers or Pokemon? Well, based on Dina's history, you can expect the implementation of the dreaded gacha, which is a fancy Japanese term for loot boxes. While you shouldn't expect to need these gacha purchases to proceed through Pokemon Masters, as you don't actually need to put money into Fire Emblem Heroes or Animal Crossing Pocket Camp, you can expect to want to buy them because that's where you'll find your favorite gym leaders. If the strategy behind Mario Kart Tour, also made by Dina, is any indication of Nintendo's mobile strategy, we can expect more of these types of games in the future. And with Pokemon being insanely popular worldwide, it stands to make Nintendo a tremendous amount of money. Regardless, we'll learn more solid info about Pokemon Masters in June, so maybe at the Pokemon Direct or at E3? Either way, the Pokemon Company has made its strategy for 2019 known in a big way. We want to track how much you walk, how much you sleep, and make you spend ass loads of money on gacha pulls to get your Pokemon waifu. If Pokemon didn't already invade every aspect of your life, it may just start doing that soon.
That's the true power of Pokemon.
Pokemon!
No, not friendship. That bullshit. It's money. It's yen.
Record profits! I choose you! Lawrence, tell them about Pokemon X and Y.
This is really interesting. It came out in 2013, and not coincidentally, that same year, the 3DS saw its biggest sales ever. Nearly 14 million units, like 13.9. That's up from 2012, when they sold 13.5 million units. And in